Hey, thanks so much for finding the video. Do us a favor. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe. And be sure to leave your comment. We love to interact. Enjoy the video. Saints play in Tampa Sunday Night Football. Here was Sean Payton when he met with the media earlier today, Wednesday, talking about the difference between Tampa now and when the Saints saw Tampa week 1 in the Dome.
Well, look, I think we did some things well. We got the turnovers in week 1. I didn't think we played very well in some other areas when you watch the tape. And I think it was more just projecting how the season would unfold. They're playing with confidence. They're playing well in all areas. And, look, you have two teams that are close to or at the top of the division playing against each other. So, it's middle of the season. Maybe a little unique that you're playing the second game this early, but that's probably normal. I mean, someone's got to play them earlier than later, and but they've had some big wins, and you can see each week the growth maybe in confidence as to how they're playing. The Green Bay win at home was a good win for them. They went on the road and scored a bunch of points against the Raiders, and they're a good football team.
They are a good football team, and they are vastly improved from what they were the first time the Saints saw them, and that is abundantly clear. Perhaps the biggest difference, though, from what the Saints will see on Sunday as opposed to week 1 is that one of the best receivers in the game, or a guy who was one of the best receivers in the game, Antonio Brown, is going to be suiting up for Tampa. If you've not heard yet, Antonio Brown, who had to serve an 8-game suspension, has been activated by the Bucs. He did practice today, and he is expected to play on Sunday Night Football against the Saints. Here was Sean Payton talking about Antonio Brown.
Well, look, the challenge in this week is not having any idea about we think, does he come out and play the Z or the X, or where, how much so you have to be prepared for where they might put him in their scheme. Does that make sense?
So Sean Payton talked about some of the ambiguity facing Antonio Brown, not knowing. And listen, the other part about Antonio Brown is when you think about the timeline, I think we all have this image or this perception in our head of Antonio Brown, the all-pro wide receiver who, at his pinnacle, was arguably the best receiver in football. But when you look at what the last year and a half has been like for Antonio Brown, when you go back to March 13th of a year ago when he was traded to Oakland from Pittsburgh. Hell, the team's not even in Oakland anymore. I mean, they up and moved cities. That's how long it's been since Antonio Brown has been, since this saga has gone on. So he never gets on the field for Oakland. He's got that back and forth. He's doing videos, candid calls to John Gruden and airing them on his Instagram. And ultimately, the Raiders cut him loose. And after the Raiders cut him loose, the New England Patriots picked up Antonio Brown, and he played in one game on September the 15th. On September 9th, this is a year ago, more than a year ago. September 9th, he agreed to a one-year deal with New England. A day after he agreed to the deal with New England is when his former trainer, who, as we learned, is also a former LSU student, athlete, Brittany Taylor, filed the accusation against Antonio Brown. That was on September the 10th. September the 13th, Antonio Brown had his helmet issue, if y'all remember. Then on the 15th, that's Sunday, he played against Miami, 4 catches, 54 yards, and a touchdown. And a day later, they cut him. He had his deal severed with Nike. For 5 days later, September the 20th, the Patriots cut Antonio Brown. 2 days after that, Brown said he wouldn't play in the NFL anymore. And then actually he announced, if you remember, that he re-enrolled in Central Michigan. So that was all last September. You're talking 14 months ago. It's been 14 months since Antonio Brown played in the NFL. It was September 15th of 2019 when he played his only game in the NFL a year ago. So really, you have to go back to the 2018 season before we saw anything of significance from Antonio Brown. which makes me wonder when you're talking about a guy who, yes, at his pinnacle was absolutely on the short list of the best receivers in the NFL, it's also worth asking, can you be out of football essentially for 2 calendar years as a 32-year-old man and step back in and not miss a beat? And I don't know the answer to that. I mean, we kind of saw this with Des Bryant when the Saints signed him, and as soon as he cranked it back up to game speed at practice, he ruptured his Achilles. I'm not telling you I think Antonio Brown's going to get injured. I think it's very valid to wonder how quickly can he transition from not playing 1 football game in 2 calendar years to game speed. So we're going to find out on Sunday because apparently Antonio Brown will be out there. Sean Payton followed up talking about Antonio Brown and that skill set.
Well, I think so. Maybe, there's one big play at the wrong time could be all of the above that you just said, and it doesn't require 11 catches. You know what I mean? So, yeah, he's explosive and smart. He understands football. So how much and where, well, those will be the questions, that we won't know until the game starts going.
The other thing we don't know, while Antonio Brown will be playing for Tampa on Sunday, Chris Godwin is still up in the air. So Chris Godwin had the finger injury, had surgery to repair his left index finger. They're not sure if he can catch the ball. Bruce Arians said they won't know until Friday. So they'll go through this week. On Friday, they'll test it out. If Godwin can catch the ball, presumably he would play Sunday against the Saints. If not, he would be inactive. What's really crazy, though, is seeing the progression of this Tampa offense, and this is absolutely compliments to Tom Brady, but it's seeing the progression of this offense after losing O.J. Howard, the injury to Godwin. We know Mike Evans is there and Cameron Brate's there. Fournette's been injured and been inactive for a bulk of the season. Do you know who Tampa's leading wide receiver is? It's Scotty Miller. Like 5'8", 175-pound Scotty Miller. I mean, there's a Wes Welker, Julian Edelman joke buried in there somewhere. I don't know if Tom Brady just wants to make it difficult on himself or why he has a rapport with small-ish white guys at receiver, but he does, apparently. Scotty Miller, not Mike Evans, not Chris Godwin, not Gronk, not Cameron Brate. Scotty Miller is Tampa's leading receiver right now, which is crazy. So it's not going to be easy for New Orleans. That's obvious. But my hope is the Saints getting healthy, playing their best ball right now, hopefully getting Mike Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders back this weekend. Short week for Tampa, having gone to New York, now having to come home and play, travel to come home and play this game against New Orleans on a short week. My hope is that the Saints catch them at a good time. So we will see how it all transpires. What we also know is that the Saints will not have Quan Alexander available on Sunday. Sean Payton explained this. There's all these different COVID protocols the NFL has to go through. So Quan has an acclimation period he's got to go through. And then he's obviously still got the ankle injury that he's been dealing with. So Quan Alexander not going to be available this Sunday. The hope is next week, week 10, at home against the 49ers, Quan would be able to go. So while he would not be able to play against the team that drafted him, he would be able to play theoretically against the team that just traded him. And it's worth mentioning, look, the 49ers played in the Dome a year ago in that amazing game that was 48-46 game, whatever it was. And you very well could have Quan Alexander and Emmanuel Sanders. Now, Quan was injured, didn't play in that game either. But Emmanuel Sanders, who a year ago on that 49ers team had a giant game against the Saints, 7 for 157 and a touchdown, playing for New Orleans. Quan and Emmanuel Sanders, two members of the 49ers NFC Championship team a year ago, both playing for New Orleans in that game coming up a week from Sunday. So, and by the way, George Kittle, he'll obviously with the foot injury be out for that game as well. So the 49ers will come to the Dome a week from Sunday, a shell of what we assumed they would be when that game popped up on the schedule at the start of this season. But for New Orleans, obviously the issue at hand is go to Tampa this weekend, see if you can find a way to get a win, because if you do, you clearly put yourself in the driver's seat in the NFC South. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.